أهلا وسهلا فيكم. اسمي أدريان، واليوم بدنا نكمل مسلسلة عن اللهجة الفلسطينية، واليوم بدنا نحكي عن ال pronouns, question words و greetings. And the reason that we're going to mix these together is because I wanted to do just greetings in the beginning, but I felt that to do greetings, really often you ask questions, and with those questions you know they're directed towards a person, so I felt that it would be important to address all of those things kind of at once. But it's pretty simple because for those of you who have studied Fusha, it's not very different structurally. You just have to change the word just a little bit. And for those of you who haven't studied Fusha before, I still think that it's not too complicated. So and if it is, then maybe you can find some other resources. Here I just want to focus on how the Palestinian dialect is unique. So the pronouns in the Palestinian dialect are fortunately very similar to Fusha, and in fact we don't have the dual and we don't have feminine plurals. So the only gender specific pronouns are you for male and female, and then him and her. So there's no like antunna and those things. I don't even know what they are, honestly. Anyway, so we'll start out with the singular. So for me, that's still ana. For you, it's anta or enti. Now that's just like Fusha in theory so far, but I find that in writing, usually because anta or enti bil Fusha would just be ant, regardless of whether it's male or female. In Ammiya, I find that you add an alif or a ya for the male and the female, just so that it's very obvious, and see, again, we see that it's very phonetic. So you say anta, so there's alif. You say enti, so there's ya. I should also mention that in Fusha, it's anta, right? It's very much an A, but in Ammiya, it's more like enta or even inta. So it's more of a E-I kind of sound. And in fact, sometimes when people Romanize it, they even write enta with E. So that is maybe something to watch out for. It's actually similar to how in Fusha you have the pronoun, the article al, which is said al with an A, but in Ammiya it's more like el, il. So it's just a tendency in Ammiya, at least in Palestine, to veer towards like E's and I's as opposed to sort of solid A's. We talked about that a little bit last time, and we'll keep noticing that trend. As for him and her, it's exactly the same. It's huwa and hiya. Now for the plural, there it's a bit different. So us is ehna, not nahnu, it's ehna. The plural for you, so there's only one. It's not like in Fusha where it's like there's a male and a female, but here it's just entu. And that's a little bit different from Fusha, because in Fusha you have antum. Now in Ammiya you don't really have the M. And in fact, once again, we find that you just write the wow. So instead it's spelled as A-N-T, wow. And I think that's actually kind of nice, because then the three you pronouns are written with the three different vowels. So you have enta, enti, and entu. As for them, now this one, there's two possibilities mainly. So mainly I would say it's homme. So here there's sort of like shadda on the M, and then it ends in this like sound. But for that, it's actually spelled with a ha. So this one is the most common one, I would say. But then in northern Palestine, as you get into Lebanon, which this is very common in Lebanon, the damma turns more into a kasra, and also the M turns into an N. So it sounds like hinne. That's pretty different, I would say, but it's pretty common in northern Palestine, I would say, like Haifa, Nazareth, you hear that over there. But now as for the suffixes, so you might know that in Arabic you use suffixes, these like little pieces at the end of words, to indicate like possession or indicate the object of a verb. So for example, for ana, it's still ya, as it is in Fusha. So for me, if the word ism is name, then ismi is my name. So it's the letter ya. It's still the same. As for you, it's still written with a K, like in Fusha, but the difference is that in Fusha, it sounds like ka or ki. So there's actually fatha or kasra on the k. So it would be ism ka, for example. But actually in Ammiya, the order is sort of inverted. So it sounds like ismak or ismek. So that's something to watch out for. So it's still just the K. As for him and her, it's basically the same, but there's something to watch out for. So it's spelt the same. So with an H for huwa and ha for hiya. Now ha for hiya, that's exactly the same. So beit ha, ism ha. It's exactly the same. But as for huwa, that H is not really pronounced like an H. Actually, oddly enough, it seems like at the end of words, when you put an H there, it really just makes like a long vowel, basically. I mean, if you think about like hinne or homme even, you write an H, but it's not really there's no H sound there. Likewise, with the suffix H for huwa, so it's not bethu, as it would be in Fusha or betuhu, I guess. But instead, it would be betu. So it's just a U-O kind of sound, betu. And in fact, I would say that it's pretty common to, instead of write the H, many people actually just write the wow, because that's what it sounds like. So again, we see a phonetic spelling. In the plural, it's pretty much the same. So for us, I mean, it would be na. So beitna, for example. But then for entu, again, it's similar. You can say kom, but I think it's very common to say ku, and to spell it ku without an M, but instead just K, wow. And I think I demonstrated that in last episode, because I think I was saying stuff like atiku, which means I want to give to you, plural. But I didn't say atikum, I said atiku. But the one that is a little bit different is again the plural, third person plural. It's actually hum, so that one is the same. But remember that in some parts of Palestine, where the M turns into an N for the third person plural, it would be hen. Again, not with a dhamma, but instead more like a kasra sound. So it would be like beit hen, their house. Or I would say beit hum. Just because, again, that's just a difference in dialect within Palestine. So just for those of you who aren't already aware, in Arabic, I just want to point out that there is a verb to be, but it's not used in the present, only in the future and in the past. It's in very select situations. So mostly it's not used. And the reason I want to say that is because, just for those of you who aren't aware yet, because I've said a couple of things, and I'm going to say a couple of things where that comes up, and if you didn't know, then that would be confusing at first. If I want to say something like my name is Adrian, which is what I've said that in the past, that would just be ismi Adrian. Now, as we see, the suffix for ana, for me, is the ya. So ism is name, and ismi is my name. But there is no to be. So what happens in Arabic is that you just put nouns together. It just means automatically ismi Adrian, my name is Adrian. The is missing, but it's clear that that's what it means. Now we can move on to the question words. So we'll just do like the what, when, where, why, the more sort of simple question words, but they are different from Fusha. The one that's really, really different is what. In Fusha, it's ma or mada. Now ma, in Ammiya, has different uses. So I don't want to get into them, but they're different, and it has nothing to do with the word what. So be really careful about that, and don't use that unless you know what you're doing, because mostly it's used for negation, but also basically the subjunctive tense. I don't want to do grammar right now, but yeah, totally different uses, so let's not worry about that now. In any case, in Ammiya, it's not ma. Instead, the way to ask what is shu or ish. Either of these is totally valid. So again, based on what I said about the verb to be, the way that you would say, for example, what's your name? It would be shu ismak. So this is why I wanted to do the pronouns and stuff with the question words, because they really just go together. So again, if you want to do name and you want to talk about your name, then you use the suffix for you. So ismak is your name, and then shu ismak is what is your name. So I think it's pretty simple, actually. You can also say like shu akhbarak. Now there, akhbar means news. So if akhbarak is your news, and I'm asking about what is your news, that's just the way of asking, how are you doing? Like, what's going on with you? What's new? What's up? It's just a way of asking people, what's going on in their lives. Shu akhbarak. I wouldn't say that there's really a difference between shu and ish, but I find it feels more natural to use shu to ask questions such as like, what is this or what is that? Mostly when I say ish is like when I didn't hear something and I'm like, what? Ish? But that's not like a rule or anything. I just find that I use shu more clearly as a question word. Maybe that's just me. Now the word that I want to talk about next is the word why. Now the word why, both in Fusha and in Ammiya, follow a similar pattern, in that they are both transformations of the word what. In Fusha, madha is another word for what, and to make the word into why, you just add a lam. Now the lam means to or for. So when you add what and for, it becomes for what, meaning why. Now that's actually like in Spanish, for example, where it's por qué is for what. Similarly, to say why in Ammiya, what you do is that you add the lam to ish. The way to say why is lish. So I think that's kind of intuitive if you think about it that way. Shu ish and then lish. For what? Why? So next I want to talk about the word how. Now the word how, in addition to the word where, they're both pretty much the Fusha word, but the main difference is actually due to the change in the vowels that we talked about last time, where they get sort of elongated. They have a tendency to be longer rather than like diphthongs like au or iu and that kind of thing. So the reason I say that is because the word how in Fusha is kaifa. Now of course the last fatha, the last a on kaifa, is totally, you never say those final vowels in Ammiya, so you can totally forget about that. But even if you have kaif, now based on what we learned last time, it's not really going to be a K, but instead it's going to get elongated. In this case, it's going to sound like kif. So the word how in Ammiya is kif. And what's nice is that you can actually use suffixes for a lot of things in Arabic, including for some question words. So for the word kif, you can add ka, and you can say kifak. I love this word. This is the simplest and easiest way to say, what's up? How are you? How's it going? Kif, meaning how, and then ka, for you, kifak, how are you? It's pretty straightforward. Now the word for where behaves very similarly in Arabic. You can also add a suffix, and it also shows that vowel change. So in Fusha, the original word is ain for where. This also sort of becomes a flatter sound, but it starts with waw. So it becomes wain. So here you do see the a sound from ai. So it's from ain, you get wain. So, it's a bit consistent in how things are changing from Fusha in this case. Once again, you can add the suffixes. So you can say, wainak, where are you? If I'm like talking on the phone or trying to find someone, like, wainak, where are you? I said that so many times. Or, wain al bayt, where's the house? For example, wainu is with huwa, and this is like, where is he? So I want to do two last words. The first one is who. So the word who in Fusha is man. Now this is pretty different because in Ammiya it's mean. Now that's not to be confused with min, because min is the same in Fusha and Ammiya, and it means from. So whereas in Fusha you would say min ayn anta, in Ammiya you would say min wain. Min is who. So who is he would be like min huwa, for example. So in Fusha you have the distinction between man and min, but in Ammiya it's min and mean. There's really a difference in the length of the vowel. So just be careful about that. And lastly, for now, I want to do the word when. So when is a bit tricky because this one can have a number of variants. I still don't even know if I know all of them. But in Fusha this would be mata. But in Ammiya, I say emta. And I think this is the one well, there's two that I see the most. I see emta and I see wenta. Now, I find that one, I don't use that one because I find it a bit confusing because it looks like wen. And so, I don't know. I just prefer to say emta because this also just looks more like the Fusha word, so it's just easier for me to remember. But really, you can learn either. I think I see both of them pretty much as frequently as each other. So I don't think there's a huge difference there. So let's do some basic greetings now. I already, previewed a couple because, you can see that they really tie in with this discussion of the pronouns and the questions. So again, you have shu akhbarak, which is like, what's up? How are you? What's the news? You have the word shu, and then you have the kaf for you. So, and akhbar meaning news. So you have shu akhbarak. And then we have kifak, which is pretty much, I'd like you to learn that one because that one is so easy, really. You have kif, which is how, and then ka, which is you. So, which is the suffix for you. So you have kifak, and that's how are you. Now some, really basic things. You have marhaba, which is hi. It's the same as in Fusha, but in Fusha you have tanween, marhaban. But in Ammiya it's just marhaba. And as a response you can say marhabtain, so that's like two hellos. So that's pretty simple. This you can kind of find online, but I thought I might as well mention. For bye you can say like ma salame. Honestly, I say yalla bye. I think that is, I really say that more than anything else. Or salam, that's fine. I wanted to give you a couple more random sort of expressions and greetings, which I think you'll hear them so much that it's just, I almost think I hear them more than good morning. So I feel that it's kind of useful to expose you to some of them. So again, using the suffixes, I really like this expression, which is nyali. Now nyali is with the ya for me, so it's hard to talk about it just by itself, which would be nyal, but nyal by itself doesn't mean anything. Nyali means like lucky me, so it's just a way of saying like, oh, I'm so lucky. So likewise, nyalik is what you would say for someone like, oh, lucky you, So I think that's pretty nice. Nyalu, you can just add any suffix to it for any person and it works. Now, when someone is eating, for example, and you want to say like bon appetit, basically, you would say saha. Now, saha means like health. So it just means, it's like saying to your health. I think we've already noticed this a little bit, but in Arabic, you don't really use the same expression to like say something and then respond to that thing. Usually there's a call and then there's a different response. So like with sabah al-khair, you have sabah al-nur, and even with like marhaba, you have marhabtain. With saha, you say aqalbak. So after someone says, to your health, you would say back, on your heart, back to you, basically. Now, remember, qalb, if it means heart and it uses the qaf, it means that you can say that qaf as you like. So I did two takes because the first time I said aqalbak. Now that's how I normally say that word, with a gaf instead of a qaf. But really, you're free to say it anyway. Another thing, this is so specific, it seemed odd to me, but I actually got to really like it. So when someone gets out of the shower, or when someone just got a haircut, those seem really specific uses, but anyway, in these situations, so I guess when someone has just gotten sort of, when someone has just like freshened up, you would say naiman. And again, the response is not the same. The response is yinam alik. So if you know a little bit about Arabic, you'll notice that it became a verb, basically. And, you know, what it's trying to say is like, let the same, you know, happen onto you, basically. So naiman, you know, inam alik. So let, you know, the same be to you. Now, probably the hardest expression that I want to share with you, hard because it's hard to pronounce a little bit, and also the meaning is a bit vague. So there's an expression that you use when someone is working or someone has just done a lot of work, you know, when someone's working hard and you want to like, not congratulate them, but sort of appreciate their work. But really, I mean, it's used just all the time, so it's not like very formal or anything. It's just like, oh, good job, you know. It's almost like saying good job in a way. And this expression is يعطيك العافية. Now, there's a lot of hard letters in there, maybe. But again, that's يعطيك العافية. And that basically, يعطيك is actually the verb to give. So, but in the him form. So it's like, may he give you, that is God actually, may he give you sort of like a benefit for the work that you've done. And the response to that, again, is, you know, kind of like a right back at you kind of expression, which is Allah ya'fik. So it's once again, it's may God do that onto you. These are all way more common than you think, actually. Like this one, in fact, you hear all the time. Like if you walk into a store, for example, and you like need something, you always start out with that. You know, like it's just a way of saying like excuse me almost, but in a sort of in a way that you're thanking them. Also, the time that you really always say it, for example, is like when you're in a cab, for example, or some kind of, you know, transportation like that. If you want to like ask to get off, you know, like instead of saying stop or here's my stop, you actually say this as a way of like thanking them / really indicating that, okay, you know, this is where I get off, this is where I stop, because I don't know why, but it's just, you know, what people have chosen to use to express, you know, khalas, you know, we're done, let me get off. So these expressions are used way more than you think, actually. So I would recommend, like, if you have a chance to just kind of try to commit them to memory, because eventually you'll really hear them a lot. And then lastly, two little expressions. The first one is very simple, Mabrouk. Now, this one is so common. I mean, it's in Fusha too, and that just means congratulations. But the reason I want to mention that is because you've got to be a little bit careful, because congratulations is very vague, actually, in Arabic, so you don't really say that for any specific thing. You know, like if someone gets married, or if it's someone's birthday, or if like someone has a child, all of these things have their own expressions for them, basically. So saying just congratulations for that, it's not bad or wrong or anything, but it's just sort of very vague. Because there's already expressions designated for these sort of events, it just doesn't really convey anything. So the other sort of congratulations that I want to share with you, it's not exactly congratulations, but it's a word that you use for holidays. So on your birthday, so that's important. So it's a way of saying happy birthday, but it's also just a way of saying, like, you know, happy holidays in a way. I think that would be a pretty good comparison. So you could say this to someone for Easter. I don't know if you would really use it for Ramadan, because for some of the Muslim holidays there's like some specific things that you would say, like Ramadan Kareem. But in any case, this greeting is it's very standard and it's very common, so you might as well learn it. It's for happy birthday too, and it's Kul sana wa anta salim. There's another way of saying that, but we can focus just on this one for now. Kul sana wa anta salim basically means like every year and you are well. So it's like, may you be well every single year. I mean, it's kind of like saying, you know, happy birthday, may you have many more birthdays, you know, that kind of thing. So the response to this one is just wa anta salim. The only thing to note here is that there should be gender and number correspondence. So كل سنة وأنت سالم is for a male, because أنت is you for a male. Whereas for a girl you would say كل سنة وأنتي سالمة. So the e at the end of salim is for, like, makes it feminine, and then again أنتي. But then if you want to say it to like many people, it would be كل سنة وأنتو سالمين. The in is just makes that plural, and then أنتو is just for you plural. So I think those are enough for now. There's there's really more, but I think you'll do well enough with just these ones for now. So yeah, I think that just about does it for today's episode. Again, we talked about the pronouns, we talked about some question words, and then we did a couple of greetings. I know I went a bit fast, but again, I think that for those of you who've already studied Fusha, it's pretty intuitive. For those that haven't, you might have to go back and take another look. I'm sure that in a lot of these cases, there will be some lingering doubts. We're going to talk about all of those things. The thing is, I can't give you all of it at once. I wish I could, but that would be very overwhelming. So for now, we'll stick to these basic things. I think in the next episode, I'll talk about that, and then we'll start maybe talking about verbs. So I'll see you next time.